Before photorealistic graphics and cinematic combat, Star Wars games were ambitious, messy, and kinda wild. 1997's Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, an awful title, is no exception. For the first game, LucasArts asked what if we could make Doom, but Star Wars. This time they asked what if we could make Quake, but Star Wars. Strap in for hyperspace as I ask, is this game worth going back to, or should I have waited for the remaster? Kyle the Angel of Death Katarn is back. He is hunting down his father's killer, a Dark Jedi named Jarek. The Dark Jedi is trying to find the valued Jedi, where he can become ultra-charged with the Force, so it's up to Kyle to pick up his father's friend's lightsaber, become a Jedi and stop Jarek, whilst leaving hundreds of corpses in his wake. The story is a big improvement over the first game. That game's story was simple, had a lot of fan service but forgettable, an excuse for the gameplay. Here they really tried to make the story more engaging. There were no cameos from characters from the movies, which I liked as it meant the story had to stand on its own without relying on a Max Rebo showing up for a few seconds, so you can kind of go, ooh, I know him. The main man Kyle actually goes on a journey. He changes from a mercenary to a full-on Force user by the end. He even gets to make choices for himself. After he defeats one of his father's killers, the killer starts mocking him and telling Kyle how much he enjoyed killing his dad. Then Kyle kills him in cold blood. It was a genuinely shocking moment. Does this mean Kyle has turned into the dark side? This is where the branching narrative comes in. Depending on if you've been killing civilians during the gameplay, the story will actually change. Kyle will either join the light side or the dark side. The light side is the canon choice obviously. Well, I guess none of it is technically canon anymore, thanks Disney. Depending on which side you are on changes which ending you get. The light side ending is fine if a bit generic, but the dark side ending is rad. Kyle the Destroyer of Worlds Katarn becomes the new Emperor, which is so over the top I love it. I was really impressed with the branching narrative considering how old the game is. It feels like they went this hard with the story because of the full motion video cutscenes. If you're going to go through the effort of filming live action actors in front of green screens, you better make them a good story to work with. So these FMVs, I love them. They have not aged well, they are incredibly cheesy and filled with over the top acting. But dank farrik aren't they charming. You can tell they had a lot of ambition when filming these, even though they don't quite meet that level. I respect the ambition. The performances are actually memorable. Kyle's actor does a great job at selling his emotional scenes. You can tell just by his facial expressions that he's struggling not to turn to the dark side. He even shaves his holy beard for a hologram scene, which is some commitment. The Dark Jedi are also great. Jarek comes off as evil and superior. Very exaggerated facial expressions and voice, but it works well. The Bib Fortuna looking guy looks like he's having a blast just existing. If they do remaster this game, they have to keep these cutscenes. The opening cutscene paying homage to the opening of New Hope, but they destroy the ship was awesome. Sets the expectations that they are trying something new here. Anyway, speaking of remaster, boy couldn't this game do with one. This game is ugly. If you've watched my other videos, you know I like me some retro graphics. Unfortunately, this didn't work for me here. This is that weird time period where developers are still figuring out 3D graphics. Environments and objects all look blocky and textures look muddy. It can be hard not to get lost in later levels. Lots of grey and dark, similar looking areas. It's not always clear what you can interact with, as the wall texture blends in with the buttons. Like this one button I could not find for ages. It's a dark room with grey walls and the button is in the wall, so you can't see it unless you're close. At least the areas still come off as Star Warsy, with the use of lights and control panels from the films. Character models are not the best either. Stormtroopers look fine, but everything else is hard to recognise, especially at a distance. It can be difficult to tell civilians apart from the enemies, especially when they both wear brown. Like when you go to Cal's home, the enemies sound like Tusken Raiders, but they don't look like them. Or those three-eyed aliens are lob detonators. When they die, their eyes stretch out, but the underside of their eyes isn't textures, it looks so odd. If you remain idle, the camera will circle Kyle and reveal his face, which looks terrifying. I've been circling around it for long enough, let's talk about the gameplay finally. At its core, it's Dark Forces 1 again, but this time you have the Force. I'll start with what's the same. Most enemies from the first game are here and act the same. You still have mostly the same arsenal from the first game. The new guns aren't too different. They swapped out a grenade launcher for a rocket launcher, it's kind of the same thing. The shooting isn't as satisfying this time around. It feels like you shoot how you did in the first game, but the enemies have become quicker and more reactive. Lots of bullets feel like they miss when they should have hit. It seems like the reticle isn't always accurate. Also in third person view you don't get a reticle, so it's incredibly hard to land shots. I think the floaty movement doesn't help with this. When you move it feels like the camera is being dragged instead of moving smoothly. It feels odd and took a bit of getting used to. I eventually enjoyed the shooting, but it took a lot longer than it should have. Unfortunately the lightsaber combat isn't great either. It's hard to tell if you're actually hitting enemies because the lightsaber has no depth, at least in first person. It's a 2D image, so it's hard to tell how close you need to be to land hits. The issue is slightly resolved in third person. It feels like this is how you're supposed to use the lightsaber. Is it fun to one-shot stormtroopers with a lightsaber? Yes, but it's quicker and safer just to shoot them instead. Kylo will block some shots if you have the lightsaber out, but it kinda seems random when he does this. The boss fights are against other lightsaber users. These also sucked. There isn't any complexity to the lightsaber. You have a light and heavy attack, that's it. I would just spam attack and circle them, and that worked. They can't seem to land hits if you were moving. It was very disappointing. I respect the added lightsaber combat, but I don't think they were ready to actually implement it in a satisfying way. The same can be said for the force powers. You get a range of powers, some are locked behind what side of the force you are on. I like this as your choices affect the gameplay as well as the narrative. Very ambitious for 97. The powers both sides have access to are force speed, jump, pull and sight. I didn't really use these outside of jump because that's mandatory. Speed makes you move faster, which I managed without. Pull disarms the enemy, which is cool, but why not shoot them instead? And sight is just night vision. Kyle already has a flashlight, so I used that. Jump is mainly used in the platforming, which is awful. Kyle has a strange bounce when he lands a jump. The force jump is unreliable of how high it will go. There are no instructions for it. I feel like the longer you hold the button, the higher it will go, but I'm not sure. If I spam force jump, he would get higher each time. Another thing about the platforming are the slopes. Kyle either can or can't walk up slopes. You won't know unless you try. He can slide right off them or slowly walk up them. It's different between levels. It's annoyingly inconsistent. The other force powers are underwhelming, at least for the light side. I unlock healing, persuasion, blinding, absorb and protection. They don't come with instructions, but you can guess what they do by the name. I only really use healing and protection. Healing to heal and protection to make Kyle invincible. This is so OP. For the other powers they felt a bit pointless. Persuasion lets you sneak past enemies and blinding blinds them. It feels easier and quicker just to kill them instead. I'm guessing these would be more useful in the boss fights, but as I went over I didn't need to use them. Dark side powers look way more fun. I don't really want to replay this game so soon just to experience them. The way you upgrade powers is also confusing. I don't know how you get upgrade points. At the end of some levels you'll get some, others you don't. I'm guessing it's based on how many secrets you find in levels, but I'm not sure. It feels like one of those games where you're meant to read the manual beforehand. Which brings us to the level design. It's definitely not my favourite thing about the game. The first few levels are straightforward enough, but late levels are so close to becoming maze-like. Areas are large and have a lot of verticality to them because it's in 3D now. This for me just made it easy to get lost. Pitties with the platforming and navigating can become a nightmare. Some design choices just feel obtuse as well. Like buttons for elevators. Call for one and wait and the elevator will probably crush you. Like why? How are you supposed to know you have to move your first time through? Or there is a bit where you're travelling through tunnels. You have to close doors behind you in order to open the next one. How are you meant to know this? Sometimes I wouldn't even know I was looking at a door. This one part you have to stop the wind blowing long enough to get into a dip in the floor. I did this and was like, okay, now what? Turns out I was still on the door. There are also no checkpoints, so saves coming become the norm for me. It's funny how the same complaints I had about the first game apply here. Buttons that are timed for no reason, mines that can't be destroyed unless with a detonator, and confusing design. At least there is a nice variety in the levels, I suppose. Mostly grey shits, but there is the occasional valley or city. The level that takes place in a fallen ship is super cool, reminds you of that boat level in Uncharted 3. Ultimately I was disappointed with Dark Forces. The gameplay was ambitious, clunky, confusing, and not as satisfying as the first, but the story was a delightful surprise. To answer the question from the beginning of the video, yes, I should have waited for the remaster. I feel like some of my issues could be ironed out with just a few tweaks. Time to rank it. First off, to narrow it down is going below Dark Forces 1. I'm feeling number 45. I respect what the game was trying to be, I just didn't enjoy playing it. It goes above Wall to Wall because the shooting is about as fun, but the story is what elevates it. But I can't put it above Turnip Boy because that game was very simple but was enjoyable and didn't leave me frustrated. Hopefully the next Dark Forces can do better. What, it's not called Dark Forces 3? Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast. What's with these awful titles?